Hi guys, I'm Danielle and welcome back to my channel. So today is the day. The Goodreads Choice Award nominees came out today. I have only seen like one of the nominations. I was on Instagram this morning and that popped up. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to stay off Instagram today. I am going to film this. It's just going to be a little reaction video to what I think of the Goodreads Choice Awards this year. And we'll just go from there. So I am going to get the computer all hooked up and I will get Goodreads pulled up and then we will be back. So I'm pretty much a fantasy, romantasy, romance kind of reader. Occasionally I'll read a fiction book, just some things like that. So I know there's only going to be a couple of the categories that I can vote for, but I'm going to go through all of the categories, see if I've read anything from them, and then let you know what I am voting for. So it is time. I am going to click on the Goodreads Choice Awards right here and see what we got. So let's see. These are the reader's favorite books of 2024, and we are going to vote in the opening round. So the first is fiction, and I'm just going to go in order down here, and let's go. So for fiction books, just a quick little look over. I have not read any of them. I've heard of a couple. I have never heard of Welcome to the Hunnamdong Bookshop. That one actually sounds pretty interesting. I actually think I'm going to put that on my TBR. So I really can't say much. I know Blue Sisters by Coco Malors. I think that was a Book of the Month book. So that would make sense for it being here. Sally Rooney, she always gets something on there. I figured that would be there. The Wedding People was another one I think might have been a Book of the Month one. Since I haven't read any of these, I really have no clue who is going to win this. And I'm not actually going to vote in this round because I don't want to skew anything. So my guess is going to be that Sally Rooney might win this one. So we will see what happens when the awards come out. But I am going to skip this category and go to historical fiction next. Historical fiction is one that I normally don't read, so I'm probably also not going to have anything from this one. And a quick look through says I do not, so I was right. But back to the top, we've got, I know I've seen The Frozen River before. Kristen Hanna is really popular. I have heard good things about this one. Oh my gosh, that's a really high average rating, 4.63 with 792,000 ratings. That one could be a contender for a winner there. Jodi Picoult is another popular one. Let's see. A lot of these covers I have not even seen before. So this is definitely not my category. Oh, Kate Quinn, that might be popular. The Book Lovers Library looks really interesting though. Oh, wartime England, not my kind of thing. But my guess for this one is probably gonna be that Kristen Hanna one. I don't know if she's won before, but I could definitely see that she would have. So I'm gonna say that that one is going to be the winner. And then next up is mystery and thriller, which is another category I don't normally partake in. So let's see. We've got a sequel. I know, I think the original one of this is like Red. And then let's see. Richard Osman. I've been wanting to read some of his books. I watch a lot of like British comedy shows and he's been on some of them. So I do want to pick that up. Let's see. Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. Doesn't have that great of a rating. I know some people haven't been loving the stuff he's been coming out with lately. I haven't read a Riley Sager in maybe 2 years. I read his like first 4 to 5 books and then I just kind of fell off. So I do need to pick those up. And then Heiress is another popular one. That might win. The Last One at the Wedding. I have seen a lot of these covers. I actually wanted to pick up The God of the Woods. I saw it, I think it was a Book of the Month pick, and I found it really interesting. I just didn't pick it up. So I think I'm going to add that to my want to read list as well. But for this one, it's going to actually kind of be hard. I really have no idea what the people have been liking. I don't think it's gonna be that Riley Sager one. Could be The God of the Woods. This one has been pretty popular. It's got a 4.2. How to Solve Your Own Murders, pretty low. I know kind of it all boils down to, like, how many people have read your book, because those are gonna be the people that are rating it. So, I have read a Sarah Pekkanen book before, but my guess is probably going to be The God of the Woods then, because I have no clue. Then we have a romance, and this is definitely my category. So, we have Swift and Saddled. I have not read that one. This Summer Will Be Different. Nope. Funny Story. I feel like everybody knew that was gonna be on there. I have read that and enjoyed it. Bride. Oh, I'm interested why that's not in Romantasy. Well, it could be more paranormal than Romantasy, but I guess they're gonna put it in here. Haven't read anything by Hannah Grace. I have read the Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, and I really enjoyed it. It's interesting to see the second book in this series make it on. I really enjoyed The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, but unfortunately, it is not gonna be a favorite of mine. Leather and Lark, 5 stars. Really enjoyed that one. Christina Lauren, The Paradise Problem, I really enjoyed that too. I have not read King of Sloth, but is that a sequel? Yes, it's the book 4. So if you've read 1 through 3 and read that, maybe you would vote for it, but I don't know if it would win. Haven't read The Catherine Center. Didn't read the Kevin Kwan. I have read the Allie Hazelwood. I did give that like 4 stars. It wasn't one of my favorites. I feel like Kennedy Ryan could win. A lot of people have been loving this book. It sounds really good. I do want to read it. Ooh, Play Along got on there. How exciting. That has a really high rating. My gosh, 4.5, which 130,000. That's cool. Haven't read this one, The Love of My Afterlife, but I do like the cover of it. So I guess I'm gonna have to vote for one that I gave 5 stars, because why wouldn't I? So it's not gonna be anything on this line or this one. Let's see. I gave Leather and Lark 5 stars, I gave The Paradise Problem 5 stars, I gave Bride 5 stars, and I gave Funny Story 5 stars. I have a feeling that Funny Story is going to completely sweep. Emily Henry normally does really good in these kinds of things, so I didn't love Just for the Summer as much as I wanted to. Pretty sure I gave it like a 4.5, and then I really did like The Paradise Problem, but Leather and Lark I feel like was better than that, but I liked Bride better than Leather and Lark. So just to say, I think I'm gonna vote for Bride because it's probably not gonna win, but at least I can pop Allie up a little bit. Actually, it's interesting to see she has 2 books on here. She has Not in Love and Bride. So that's really interesting that she made it on there twice. I am gonna vote for her though. I feel like people are gonna split their votes for her because of that, but I'm gonna vote for Bride. And then next up is Romantasy. Let's see how many of these I've read. Not read The Spell Shop, nothing on the top one. Of course, Sarah J. Maas is there with House of Flame and Shadow. I have read that. I have a whole video for it if you want to go watch it. It is spoiler filled, so just know that going in. I had a really good time with this. I know Miss Mass over here pretty much always wins when she's in there, but a lot of people didn't love this book, and I don't know how many people are actually going to vote for it. So we will see. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be voting for that book this year. Oh, just another quick like overview, and I've seen a couple others that I've given 5 stars. But let's see. We have not read the Zodiac Academy. I did read A Fate Inked in Blood. I gave that 5 stars. I read Feybound and gave that 5 stars. Have not read either of these. I loved The Games Gods Play. I gave that 5 stars. It was my favorite book of, I want to say October, and that is a contender. Apprentice to the Villain, I did read. It was just okay. Phantasma, another amazing one. I gave that 5 stars too. When the Moon Hatched got 5 stars. The Honey Witch, I read that, but it was just like okay. But it is nice to see like a sapphic romance on here. We have Gold. I have not continued on. I read the first three in that series. Haven't continued on with the Jennifer Armentrout series. I did want to read The Veiled Kingdom, but I haven't gotten to it yet. And then Quicksilver, I actually think this book put me in a slump. I was trying to read it, and for whatever reason I just like wasn't picking anything up because I knew I had to read that. So I just actually DNF'd it. I think I'm going to try and pick it back up again. We will see. But let's see. So like I said, it's not going to be a Fadington Blood or House of Flame and Shadow, unfortunately. Feybound was good, but I could see some slight issues with it and people not voting for it. When the Moon Hatched was another amazing one, but I don't know if I liked that more or The Games Gods Play or Phantasma. I'm kind of between all three of those right now, and I don't know which one to pick. So we are going to come back and I'm going to think about that because I loved all of those. And I think every single one of them is going to be hitting my top books this year. So it's going to be a little bit of a harder choice. On to fantasy, though. Next up, I should have read this. I really wanted to read The Lost Story. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I really loved Meg Schaefer's last book, so I'm really hoping I'm going to love this one too. I thought this was going to be more in like just general fiction though, which is kind of interesting. I know it has like magical realism things in it, but I thought it was more realistic than magical. The Night Ends with Fire was really good. I have read that. Empire of the Damned, which is another sequel. Absolutely loved that one. It made me cry. So far, I think that's going to be my top one in this category. Then we've got some others that I have not read. I actually don't know if I'm going to continue on with Emily Wilde. We will see. Then Somewhere Beyond the Sea, that could be a contender, but I have not gotten to that yet. So I think this one's going to be a pretty easy vote for Empire of the Damned by Jay Kristoff. And then on to the next category, which is science fiction. Quick look through here, and I have not read any of these. So we're just going to take a quick look, see if I know any of the covers. Actually, I think I've seen the Stardust Grail cover before. It is pretty. Haven't read it though. Sky Full of Elephants. That's kind of an eye-catching cover. Orbital's really pretty. I've been wanting to read, I believe this is a series. Oh, it's a start of a series. I think I wanted to read his other stuff instead first, and then we'll go on. Annibot I've seen because I think that was a book of the month book. Yeah, nothing really on here for me. So I am not going to be voting on this round. Probably won't be voting on a lot more of the rounds because I don't read all that much of the different types of genres, but that's okay. Let's see. Reader's favorite horror is next. And we have So Thirsty is one I actually thought about picking up. I just haven't gotten around to it. So maybe by the time the second round is out, if that is on there still, might be voting for that. We'll see. Nothing else on the top row. Nothing else on the second row. I have been wanting to read A.T. Kingfisher, so I might try and pick up some of their stuff soon. And if I can get this one in, it's a second in a series, maybe I'll vote for that. But as of right now, nothing on here I have read yet. At least I have a couple that I want to read. And then I have read some from Simone St. James, but I've read her YA stuff. So again, can't vote on this one. Next up is debut novel. This one is a pick that has already been there. So that's interesting. Actually, so is this bookshop one. I think maybe the Book of Doors was on there. Voyage of the Damned. I'm surprised this made it on there because I didn't think I heard a lot of people liking this one as much. The Truth According to Ember. But at least it made it on there. Yep, there are definitely a couple of ones that popped up numerous times. This is sad because, again, I have not read any in this category. So we are just going to be skipping that category. And then they have a category for audiobook now. That is interesting. So, readers' favorite audiobooks. It's interesting to see that we have Funny Story, Intermezzo, Just for the Summer, Somewhere Beyond the Sea, The Women, because I feel like this is going to win the historical. And if this wins the fiction, can it win again? Or no, this is romance. Sorry. Historical. This was fiction. And then those were romance. I wonder if they could win again. And then Richard Osman's book again. Sadly, I haven't listened to all of that much audiobooks this year. I know that The House in the Cerulean Sea is one of my favorite audiobooks. I really like the voices that the narrator does. So that could be interesting to pick up in audiobook form, but I do have the physical copy. So we'll see about that. But I can't vote for anything here. I am thinking that either The Women, Funny Story, Intermezzo, or Just for the Summer is going to win. And that is only if one of those doesn't win the other categories, because I'm not actually sure if the same book can win two categories. We'll find out. Next up, though, is young adult fantasy, which I do read like a tiny bit of, not too much. So let's see what we got. We have Defiant by Brandon Sanderson, Reckless by Lauren Roberts, which I have the first book. I haven't read it yet. Well, I have that one too, but hopefully I'll get to that soon. The Invocations. Barnes and Noble has like a really nice copy of that book. And every time I go, I look at it and want to buy it. I just have not bought it yet. Heartless Hunter. Okay, we finally got something that I have read. Ruthless Vows. I have read that too. I know when I hover, it says want to read, but I probably have read like a different version of that book. Let's see. The Prisoner's Throne, I read. And I own a couple of these. I just haven't gotten to them yet. So out of these, we have Heartless Hunter, we have Ruthless Vows, and The Prisoner's Throne. I think I gave Ruthless Vows 5 stars. I'm going to click on it and see if it brings me. Nope, I only gave it 4 stars apparently. Let's see, do I have a review on it? 4.5 stars. Okay. And I think that's the same for Heartless Hunter. Let's see. Yeah, 4.5 stars. Thinking about it though, I might go back. Oh, they're all in different spots now. That's confusing. Why did they move? And what was the other one? The Prisoner's Throne. Let's see what I gave that. 4.5 as well. So apparently, all of the books in the young adult category that I have read got a 4.5 from me. So it is going to be an easy choice for me, and I'm going to vote for Heartless Hunter. I really, really loved that book. I got it from Book of the Month. I absolutely loved it. And then I had the pleasure of meeting the author and having my copy signed. So that is going to be my young adult fantasy choice. Next up is young adult fiction. And I probably haven't read anything from this. I'm not too big into fiction anymore. And just looking at it, that's a lie. I have read one, so I will be voting for that one. But On Me for Two, I have not read. This one I did want to read, though. It was really cute looking. The last time I had a banh mi, though, I swear I got the flu from it. It was like a day before Christmas, and one of my coworkers had brought it from a shop that she goes to. So all of us had them at work, and I really, really loved it. So I took my other half home with me and had it for dinner. And then while I was eating it for dinner, somehow I ended up like choking on something that was in it that was spicy, and it just got like stuck in my throat. And I kept coughing and coughing and coughing. And then I woke up the next day and I had the flu and it was terrible. So I have not picked up another banh mi since, but I did want to read about it. So I'm actually going to put that on my want to read list. And then I have read Heartstopper Volume 5. That is the only one that I have read from this. I actually do want to read Dungeons and Drama. It looks really cute. I keep seeing it at Barnes and Noble whenever I go there, and I think eventually I'll pick it up. Maybe I'll see if I can get it from the library. The Reappearance of Rachel Price is one that I do have on my TBR, just haven't gotten to it yet. I think I've read everything else by Holly Jackson, so I should be picking that up soon. The Grandest Game, have not read that. I'm still working on her other series. But that looks to be the one that I'm going to be choosing then. I have to choose Heartstopper because that is the only one I have read in that category. Probably not going to have anything in the next 3 categories either, but we will see. I've got nonfiction here, which is definitely not my category. I think the only nonfiction I've read this year was probably Something for Work. So I don't even know anything about any of these. Let's see. I've heard of this author before. That is The Message, so that one could be interesting. The Untold Story of the Rise and Fall of Disney Channel's Tween Empire. That actually sounds really interesting. I have actually seen the cover for One in a Millennial. This kind of makes me interested here. I'm going to see what that one is about. Reproductive health. Yep, definitely could tell that from the cover. This one actually sounds interesting. That might just be fun to read in general. Actually, that's weird. 2 books. So this one is all about like reproductive health, and this one is all about menstruation. So that's interesting that 2 of them made it on. But can't vote for anything here since I have not read anything. So on to memoirs. Let's see. I have wanted to read the 3rd Gilmore Girl. I love Gilmore Girls. I just have not gotten to it, but that one seems interesting. Nothing else on here though. No, I think the memoir that I read this year was Paris Hilton's memoir. That was actually really interesting. I don't know if it came out this year though. So I read about 1 a year, and that was it for me this year. And then last up is history and biography. So definitely haven't read any of these either, but we've got something about the Kennedys. We've got the Challenger. Space is always interesting, so that should be a good one. Marie Curie. American Scary. Interesting. And I definitely can't vote for anything in this one. So I think the only one I have to go back to is Romantasy that I can vote in. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm only voting in 5 of the categories this year. So going back to the Romantasy category, like I said, it is between When the Moon Hatched, Phantasma, and The Games Gods Play. I think I'm going to have to consult my trusty sheet that I have that tells me all my ratings for this year. So I know I read Phantasma at the end. So let's see. It's probably going to be around here somewhere. Twilight and Frank. I've read too many books this year. So Phantasma was a 9.14. The Games Gods Play was a 9.29. So that's already beating Phantasma. And then when did I read When the Moon Hatched? Let's see. That was earlier. What does that have? That's a 9.29 as well. So technically, it's between When the Moon Hatched and The Games Gods Play. Thinking about how both of those books are written and the style of them, I may have had more fun with The Games Gods Play, but I think When the Moon Hatched had more intricate things tying everything together, and the author really had to put tons of effort into the world building and like creating all of this. So I think I'm going to vote for When the Moon Hatched. So just to go over those really quickly, for romance, I voted for Bride, but I think Funny Story is going to win. For romantasy, I voted for When the Moon Hatched. Do I think that's going to win? I either think that or the Sarah Janet book is going to win, but because Sarah's book is the third book in a series, I don't know how many people are going to vote for it, even though the name and everything attached to it. So I'm actually going to say I think When the Moon Hatched is going to win. For fantasy, I did Empire of the Damned, and I think that, let's see, I think Lee Bardugo's might actually win because that's like a notable name. I don't know. I don't think TJ Clunes is going to win, unfortunately. How many votes for Empire? Only 15. Well, that is a second in a series as well. Oh, yeah, that's not going to win. I'm probably going to say that The Familiar. What about Map of the Other Lands? Actually, that has more than this does. I think The Familiar is going to win by Lee Bardugo. I think, unfortunately, that's what's going to happen there just because of name recognition. For young adult fantasy, I voted for Heartless Hunter. And I think, let's see, I could see Brandon Sanderson's winning, but it's a fourth book in a series. But just because of the name, I could see Where the Library Hides winning. Also a second book in a series. There's so many second books in a series. Ruthless Vows was the second. Reckless was the second. Wisteria is the third. I'm probably going to have to say I think Where the Library Hides is going to win for that one. And then lastly, for young adult fiction, I voted for Heartstopper Volume 5. And I feel like I think Heartstopper Volume 5 might win because so many people love it. That's actually got a lot of people. But yeah, I'm actually going to say Heartstopper Volume 5 is going to win. So that was me going through, seeing what books were nominated for the Goodreads Choice Awards, making my predictions, and then I might come back and talk to you guys when the winners come out and see if I got any of them right. Probably didn't, but who knows? Maybe one of my picks will actually win. But that was it for today. Let me know what your votes were for some of these. If you voted for all of them, if you only voted for a couple of them, I would love to know what your picks were. And I will see you next time. Bye.